playback online. By participating in this meeting, you're agreeing to your audio and likeness being used for this purpose. So, starting off with our 7 p.m. agenda item, it's open forum. Do any members of the commission have something for open forum? Okay. What I will share is that the Open Space and Recreation Plan Committee, we had a meeting on Zoom last Thursday night. We reviewed our draft goals. And then yesterday evening, we had a virtual public forum, which had probably 2 or 3 dozen attendees.
Just shy of 20.
Just shy of 20. So we had
Quite a nice attendance.
yeah, so we reviewed the goals. We got public feedback of which ones resonated with them and stuff like that. So the next stage will be for the committee to be working on objectives and action plans to meet those goals. And at some point, well, when there's a draft plan, it will come to various boards like the Conservation Commission, the Planning Board.
The select board, and I think we're trying to figure out a joint meeting with the Parks and Rec Commission, again, as they have a vested interest in the development of the plan.
Yeah, so that we,
For input?
well, not so much for input, but for review and feedback.
Okay.
So that's coming along. They're looking to do that in the April-May timeframe?
Yes.
Okay. So,
It'll be warmer.
yes. Did you have anything for open forum?
Just that the Community Preservation Committee met last night, reviewed the first night of 3 of CPC applications, answered a couple of questions from them about both the Vinebrook footbridge design and also the improvements to Freedom Park. And I'll kind of keep abreast of what's going on and kind of make sure we're, I'll let the commission know when they make recommendations for the select board.
Do any members of the audience have something for open forum?
Hi, my name's June McMarlin. I live on King Spine Road. And I wanted to just get some feedback from you folks on 2 things. The first thing is, as you know, I had communication with you or other members of town government Tuesday through Saturday last week about, I'm not really sure what's going on up at Stony Brook Conservation Land, but you know, the gate being open, the wall on the shed being knocked down, trucks up there, I think that was on Friday. And so I just thought where I had observed so many things and had so many things, people called me or texted me, I just thought the responsible thing for me to do would be just to follow up with you. I mean, I think I have a pretty good understanding of what the rules are up there and
So the pin in the gate appeared to have been cut with an angle grinder.
Oh, is that
There's
right?
evidence on the locking mechanism, and I found 2 halves of the double lock pin. That was likely what prompted the gate to be open over last weekend, or 2 weekends ago, President's Day, Martin Luther King Day weekend. Again, I took it as DPW opened it to plow up, so that there's adequate access. And then again on Friday, from at least anecdotally from the police department, the trucks that were parked up there were opportunistic ice fishers who the gate was unlocked and they decided to park up at the top. So I haven't received the reports yet. I've requested them. When they're finalized, I will get copies and I was going to provide to the commissioner.
So I'm unsure what you're saying. Are you saying that the gate being open or the lock being, I don't know what that device was that you referred to it. Is it some sort of a blade cutter or something?
Yes, yeah, they cut the metal.
Oh, so I don't think that the DPW would do that to
That
plow
was-
the road, would
No,
they?
that was not the DPW.
Okay, because I know on Friday when I talked to the policeman, he said, well, couldn't this just be the caretaker doing some work up there?
No, that was my thought, again, in advance of this weekend's snow, DPW does plow to provide, a modicum of access up there in the event of an
Yeah,
emergency.
and that's really a welcome thing, we're very.
Right, exactly,
yeah,
so
okay.
initially, early on in the week, I thought that was just them, somebody went up there and
But
didn't lock
it wasn't them, is
No,
what you're saying?
it was,
Okay.
there was, they cut the lock was cut
Okay.
by somebody. I'm certainly, pursuing, checking the cameras. But again, I
Okay, well, that's
can't,
unfortunate,
yes.
because I just think like the gate being wide open, that all that is an invitation.
The
for-
gate is locked now.
Yeah, I know it is, I saw it. Okay, and the other thing I just wanted to follow up with you on is, I had emailed you and Kristen and Las and Tom Clay and a few others about some information that had been given to me at the end of September about a large sum of money, I think it's like $172,000 in a revolving fund for the camps. And my question had been, is that something that we could use for a police detail? Like I've said to you 100 times, on sunny weekends from Memorial Day to Labor Day, to prevent the people that come up there that barbecue and drink tequila and leave all their trash and so forth. And I was not able to come to your meeting on November 12th, but I did watch it after the fact. And I had thought that the resolve was that somebody was going to reach out to town council about whether or not it was legal to use revolving funds for such a use. And so I was just looking to see if you had an answer from Greg Corbo or somebody from town council on that.
So I spoke with the finance director, and the funds can't be used to pay for, my understanding of revolving funds is that it cannot be used for normal operating budget activities, which is why the caretaker is not a town employee, which is why it was, the caretaker has been a contracted service. So, again, I can certainly look to get on the, police department's radar for details. Again, they're subject to be filled if they're voluntary, filled, so.
But we couldn't use it to supplement the police budget to have people come up there, I think is what you're trying to say.
I think that's what you're trying to say.
Yes, I think that's, yes.
Yeah.
So we cannot use the revolving fund to pay a detail for a policeman?
I don't think
Or
so.
basically, I think it's basically any town employee. We can't pay to have a town employee do their job.
Okay,
So that's where we have to
okay.
say, okay, what's our plan B?
Okay, so that probably sounds to me like nothing's gonna happen and it's just gonna be more.
If we can hire, there's funds available, if we can hire, an attendant or somebody to, again, try to,
Or we were looking, I think, one of the things we had also talked about was the possibility of hiring a ranger. So it's looking at what type of role we would want a person to go in, doing that kind of monitoring.
Well, this has been a topic for several years ongoing now, and nothing ever really seems to change. And, the bottom line is, in the summertime on the weekend, my access to the beach and a lot of other people that walk up there is really not possible because of all the people drinking and barbecuing. And I would really like to see this change this year. So, I don't know what I can do to help this out, but I'll do anything I can to help this out. I can call you and email when there's problems. But if I go down to the beach and there's 50 people drinking tequila and they've got their barbecues going, there's really not much that I can do.
No, but this is, like you did on Friday when you went to the camp, you did your observations and you called Westford Police Department. As we get members of the public reporting these things to the police, that starts to build more of a body of actionable evidence, that we've, it stops being people saying, oh, this is what I experienced, and it becomes something that's on the record, and that becomes a little bit easier to work with.
Okay, well, thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, moving on to our next 7 PM agenda item, it's a continuation of public hearing and issue order of conditions for Hammer 23 Tenny Road.
So included in the commission's meeting packet was draft special conditions and findings. That was included. Did provide it to the property owner and their representative. If the commission has any questions, the representative did have one, which I wanted to pose to the commission. Based off of the discussion at the last meeting in drafting the language for this special condition, number 23, having that the culvert be monitored for 2 years from installation, they asked if photographic evidence by the property owner would be sufficient to comply with this special condition. Again, in terms of closing it out with a certificate of compliance, I'd like to have the engineer back out to ensure that the invert elevations haven't changed. But in the interim, if the commission is amenable to being monitored by the property owner, we can
Stop there.
Well, and I guess, in terms of monitoring, is there any type of is it a periodic frequency?
Well, it said annually, so in theory, there would, it was
Okay.
installed last year. We would expect some form of monitoring this summer, and then in 2 summers, or
So on the
in
anniversary
2020,
of the work?
in 2027, if, they'd be able to request a certificate of compliance and, provide the documentation of, the inverts being hopefully the same as they previously were at installation, and, we can kind of say, close out the order, the after the fact order of condition as, complied with.
Do you want to specify that in monitored by?
Well,
Put it in writing.
actually, because we don't say who's doing the monitoring, do we have to be specific about photographic evidence?
No, it was just, again, it was, the representative posed the question. I wanted to kind of get the commission's thoughts. Again, if, I can leave it as is, we can amend it to, can be monitored.
Just specify who
Okay,
should do it, right?
How are they gonna measure it?
And, yeah.
okay. You want to suggest an amended language?
No,
Well-
I know, I just wondered how you
Right.
measure it. Do they use
Maybe we're gonna photograph
like
it.
a surveyor's transit type thing? The homeowner's not gonna do that.
So I guess it sounds like we need clarification, so that,
Again, in terms of, that was, I didn't have a great idea. Again, in terms of, if you start to see if you see settling above it, because again, they paved over, they've paved,
All right, we should change- We should
backfill.
change the wording then, so, not so that they measure the invert elevations, but look for any settling of the,
Yep.
of the culvert on both ends. And that would be fine by me.
so what no, when it's annually monitored, was the intent that we would receive some type of a report, or just something as a result of that annual monitor? Or they're just tracking?
We can include this, I wasn't anticipating, I was more having an interim from, 2 years out, from installation, that it gets,
Well, would you
And-
want a snapshot 1 year in?
Yeah, we can, can revise, again, the second sentence, that the culvert be monitored for sort of installation.
To ensure that there's no settling of the,
Yes, so at the end of the first sentence, to ensure no settling or has occurred, and then that photographic documentation shall be provided to the commission,
So photographic.
Commissioner saying,
Showing the in end and the out end,
And above.
and no settling. And so a picture of the end of the culvert so that it shows that the, above, there's no settling of the driveway above it.
yes, yeah, I think that's probably, we can,
That's good.
so.
Sounds good.
But do we still want an engineer's?
So included in,
Okay,
special condition number 35, precedent certificate of compliance, 2 years after the culvert's installation, a written statement by a,
That's-
by PE. So this
Okay.
is kind of the,
That says it.
so that will, yeah, so that means we've actually got measurements to check that there's been no.
at the very end to make sure that it hasn't settled or, that it hasn't, one end has settled and now we have
Okay.
an inverted slope or something like that was my concerns.
So,
Yes.
both of those amend-
Does that sound reasonable?
So you share the question.
okay,
I just wanna make sure I know how to comply with it. So it's literally, I can take a photo of each side of it and the surface area of the driveway to show that it's not,
Well,
I mean,
what
is
we-
that
Yeah,
the-
show,
Yeah.
show the entrance of the culvert.
Yeah.
The other
with the
side,
driveway above it,
yep, and then a photo on top, because again, you'll
Okay.
see cracking or kind of the,
Yeah.
if something has, again, kind of like what was previously happening, you'll,
Yes.
you have good experience with that.
I do.
okay, so you know what it looks like when it's going.
I
when it
do,
has
now I
potholes.
do.
Okay,
And I just email that to.
Yep, it'll be the commissioner or its agent, so. they
Okay.
come to us.
Okay,
Worst case, he'll ask you to take it from another angle or something.
okay.
yeah.
I think that's it.
Because this is public hearing, are there any comments or questions from members of the audience? Okay, so if you're okay with the revision to the order,
Yeah.
can I have a motion to approve can I have a motion to issue the order of conditions as amended?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
So, yeah, so Matt will be in touch with the paperwork.
Okay, can I ask one extra question, actually?
Sure.
So for satisfying 35, is that something that just gets mailed or emailed or whatever as well, or is that something that needs to then be shown up? Someone needs to show up at another commission hearing?
A letter. would-
If nothing is, if everything as is,
Yeah,
as, if nothing's changed over that time, I don't think any attendance would be needed.
Just
okay,
email
so
to
it's just
Matt.
checking the box.
Yeah, it just, if it's off, then yes, we're probably gonna wanna have a conversation. If
Yeah.
something's happened, then we'll wanna have a conversation. Okay,
Okay, thank you all for your time.
thank you. Okay, moving on to our next 7 PM agenda item, it's continuation of public hearing and issue order of conditions for Zom Living LLC, 37 Powers Road.
The applicant has requested a continuance without discussion, as they're finalizing to resolve the issues raised by the commission at previous public hearing.
Can I have a motion to continue the public hearing to February 11th?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Continue a public hearing for Jack and Clara Farmstead LLC, 400 Littleton Road.
The applicant has also requested a continuance without discussion to the February 11th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Moving on to our 7:05 PM agenda item, it's a continuation of a public hearing for Nasset Lake Country Club, 47 Oak Hill Road.
Good evening, members of the Conservation Commission. Mike Igo, again, engineer with Acres Consultants of Andover, Mass., representing Nasset Lake Country Club for the continuation of the hearing from 2 weeks ago. So it's a follow-up, as you know, and you've received. We provided an additional planting plan that's a supplement to the notice of intent plans that were submitted on the 23rd of December. And that was also followed up with a meeting today with members of the commission that we went out, albeit snowed over with the recent snowstorm, but we had the site walk with members of the commission to go over what the plans are. So just in brief, what this plan, this supplemental plan, NOI 7, which we're calling the proposed meadow seed planting plan, the intent is to provide, well, first and foremost, our wetland scientists of Williams and Sparaj of Middleton, Mass, did identify invasive species that are existing within the stream bank or within the wetlands area that are part of the stream bank system. So the proposal for the planting plan is to remove invasive species that were identified, and that the taxonomy of those invasives were added to the plan on NOI 7. Basically, it's bittersweet, loosestrife, and I believe it's roses as well. So I think those were identified as, or they were identifiable in the original walkthrough with the conservation agent. Prior to the snowstorm, I think some of that might have been still visible post-snowstorm, but the intent is that any place within that stream bank system, we would have the opportunity, or we would be able to manually remove those invasive species as part of the planting plan or the planting improvement plan. In addition, throughout the stream system, any place we have the opportunity to add, what we're asking for, or what we propose to do rather, is having at least where we can, to the extent practicable, a 5-foot buffer of meadow mix that would be a low mow or very few mowing, maybe once per season, twice per season, of a pollinator mix that would add it as an additional buffer around Sawmill Meadow Brook. So what that will do is that will provide basically more biodiversity on the property. It'll provide an opportunity for pollinators to migrate towards this area. And actually, from a logistical standpoint and from a maintenance standpoint, it actually will keep golfers and folks that are using the golf course away from the bank edge itself. So the golf course and the club would prefer to try to keep members away from the bank edge anyway. So providing at least a 5-foot buffer of tall grass and no-mow meadow area in those areas, I think would be a beneficial way and a win-win in terms of golf course management, golf course maintenance, and then also providing the biodiversity of the pollinator species meadow mix that we're proposing. On the west side of the property, so as discussed in the notice of intent report, so there are playable areas of the golf course that were designated wetlands. So any place that you see inside the orange dash line, those were identified as wetlands as done by our wetland scientists that we subconsulted. And that was determined not necessarily by plant material, but by hydric soil. So those are actually areas that are still within the golf course playing area. As discussed in the field, what the proposal is so basically the way the golf course plays, or this particular hole plays, is that it starts near the end.
There's a
Oh, thank
laser
you,
pointer.
right. I just want to make sure I don't, yeah, there you go. So right here basically is where the golf tee is for this particular hole right here. So the way the hole plays, the hole plays over the stream, and then it plays the second shot, or the next shot would play over Moore Avenue, over to the 5th green over here. So if you could scroll back up a little bit. So unfortunately, I guess if you hit a poor shot, this is still in play over here. So the idea being is that with this tee box here and these tee boxes here, if we can remove this part of the playable golf course here and convert that to a meadow mix that gets mowed again once per year, maybe twice per year, what this will do is that this will actually direct traffic away from, or I should say, this will direct traffic towards the actual golf course playable area where we want people to hit their shots, and not cause a backup and reduce playability from this perspective. So we see this as an opportunity to say that we can reclaim some of this wetland area that was identified by hydric soils. It is a little bit of a low spot anyway, and historically has been wetter. But by replacing it with a low-mow meadow that we've selected based on the species that were selected and suggested by the wetland scientists, we can actually reclaim quite a bit of what has been turf, or maybe poor quality turf, part of the golf course, and then renew this area with a pretty expansive meadow with pollinators, with a pollinator mix for that purpose. There will need to be a landing area, so as golfers hit their shots over the stream here, this does need to be maintained as a landing area here. However, we are still proposing to do a 5-foot buffer at the very least on the south side of Sawmill Meadowbrook, same as on the east side of the golf course, so that we do intend to provide at least a 5-foot buffer on this side. And then finally, for the man-made pond, this right now is turf grass that really isn't part of the golf course. It's not really in a playable area. As discussed, this hole goes this way, and then this hole goes around this way. So this is kind of a no man's land, so to speak. What we're proposing to do there is to, instead of having a mown turf grass golf course area here, is to replace this with an upland meadow mix that again has pollinators. It's specific for upland, and that we can reclaim some of this area as a taller meadow mix that again gets mowed once per year, maybe twice per year, but naturalizes that area a little bit more and isn't mown down to your typical golf course turf grass. So that's in general the highlights of the proposals or the additions that we've made to the plan since the last time that we've met, and we consider this an addenda or an addendum to the notice of intent plans that we've submitted. But by and large, we feel like this is a win-win because we're adding biodiversity by providing a pollinator meadow mix throughout the golf course, reclaiming a good portion of wetlands that is part of the golf course and converting that to more of a naturalized area. But the golf course wins as well because it makes the golf course more playable. It gets golfers to move along faster, and it protects the golf course and the club from entering areas where we don't want them to enter and get too close to the water's edge.
Any questions from members of the commission?
That's pretty much what we saw today, too.
Yep. Laura?
Just one question, and forgive me on my lack of golf knowledge. Where the big swath of green, that little above,
Yes.
and is that is that like you can hit the ball from that little spot there?
So
Yeah,
yeah,
right
so
there.
the tee right there where my pointer is, that's a forward tee. So that's an active playing area here. This green spot right here, that's not really a playable area. I think historically that's where people would hit a bad shot coming off the tee here, or if they're hitting the ball really far askew on this hole, they would end up landing over here. So it really becomes more of a, from a golf course management perspective, it really becomes more of just saying, if this ball gets in this area and it's really tall grass, the idea is that from a management perspective is that golfers won't spend minutes trying to find a ball. It'll be so far deep that they'll kind of say forget it and just drop another ball and keep moving forward. So
So there's no plan to have a trail then? The hope is that anyone who uses that closer one would walk around and use it?
They're coming this way. So
Yeah.
this line, so
That's-
this is the cart path.
correct. So all walkers or all carts would actually go around this path here, and they really wouldn't go.
Oh, there's a
in there.
bridge?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
there's a bridge here. It's
Yeah.
just,
I guess it got washed out by the
Okay.
coloring there. Yeah. So yeah.
I thought the only bridge was that one down there.
No,
Okay, so never mind.
that's a
never
good catch, but no, there actually is an existing bridge right there that it just, I think from a drafting perspective, just got wiped out. So there is a bridge there, so, and that's the main cart path, so that's a good question.
Okay. At this point, Matt?
just to record the site visit, Margaret, Noel, Jim, and Lauren and myself participated in that today. I did also reach out to DEP. DEP had no technical comments on the application. So that was one thing I wanted to clear up from the previous public hearing.
Okay. So are there any comments or questions from members of the audience? So I guess at this point, we'd be looking for drafted order of conditions.
Yes, for the commission's next meeting, I would like, if possible, to spend a couple minutes just on special conditions to include. Again, this is a unique kind of project. I do have a note about manual invasive removal. Again, in terms of the dredging of the ponds, spoils, again, they do propose erosion controls being installed and the excavated material to be reused on site. But want to make sure that that's, done within a growing season and stabilized as, any stockpile areas get removed and stabilized. In terms of monitoring, in conversations with the project representative, you're out there fairly regularly
Yeah.
during the installation
Yeah,
parts?
so we actually don't, so we can be made available so we wouldn't be responsible for the construction, but from an environmental or because I would be the one requesting the certificate of compliance when it's ready, that I would be, as the engineer of record for this NOI, I would be out there at regular intervals just to observe what's happening out there, so yes.
So I know that there was conversation that the dredging of the irrigation pond is not planned for this year. It's likely to be something in next year? Would that be a case of when that is planned, would you want to be notified?
Yep, yeah, and that's kind of, in terms of the two phases or two kind of aspects of the project one being the irrigation replacement, the second being the dredging, or excavation of the pond. Kind of just again, a schedule, and we can kind of phase that, include that language in the, just so that I'm aware when, I get the phone call about, the big yellow machine that's,
Right.
going into the wetland.
Right.
It's nice to have at least a little heads up on what's going on. But that would be, that is something good, in terms of, kind of just documenting phasing and kind of, and again, even if it's not next year or the subsequent year, there is, some flexibility in the.
Somebody donates money, we're not doing it this year.
And just from a question from my perspective too, it would be possible to at least apply for a partial certificate of compliance for the portion that gets done. Yeah.
Welcome that.
Yeah.
And one of the other, just when the contractor does stake out kind of the main line, I'd just like to, that would be kind of a milestone. I'd like to go out and just review,
Okay.
just kind of, just observe and kind of see
Sure.
how it,
Yep.
see how that deviates from, again, the plan is, generally in this
So that
location.
should be in your condition, right?
Yeah, right, as a special condition,
Sure.
just, kind of one of those, prior to installation of the actual main lines.
Right.
Observation of the stakeout be reviewed.
Right.
Be observed or something.
No?
What's the timing like for this project? When would it start and how long would it take?
So right now, we're looking hopefully to start mid-April. We don't have a firm date yet. It's going to happen this spring. It's a matter of whether it's mid-April or the third week in April. So, like we talked about at the last meeting, there are very few people that can actually do this type of work. So you're dealing with a very small pool, and the club was fortunate enough to get a qualified contractor that had a slot open. A lot of the golf course contractors right now, they're actually booked out through 28, some of them. So because this is a smaller golf course, and this can be done in 3 to 4 weeks or 5 weeks, something like that, that this slot opened up for them. So don't have a firm date, but it would happen this spring, and I think ideally the goal would be to have it done like mid-May or.
So being realistic, I would say mid-June.
Okay.
Because of we have no cert, they will not give us a confirmed date yet.
Okay. Yeah. If everything came out, if everything worked
Yeah.
out perfectly, maybe Memorial Day, but if it extends into June, it extends into June.
Well, is this work in any way weather dependent that Mother Nature could make it
Yes,
more
it does.
difficult for
Yep.
you?
Yes, it is.
That's why we're delayed, because of the job from the fall.
Okay,
Yeah.
They haven't finished that job, project that they started in the fall.
Right.
okay. Jim?
Matt, is the dredging gonna be listed and another project coming in, whatever, a year or two down the road? or is it gonna be part of this?
It's a part of this, so
Then for it, we need to know where the dredged material's gonna go, where it can be
yeah, I mean, they've
can show
proposed
you.
on site, but I can, or to your point, you know, having review where it's anticipated to go before, you know, to make sure that, you know, we're not filling in a wetland. Yeah, that's a really good point, you know.
It actually can show you if you scroll up onto the, down towards the green,
Oh.
the grove of, that picture is covering probably where it's gonna go. If you recall the grove of pine trees that are next.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
this,
Right,
yeah.
in between there, it's very rooty, and we plan to raise that up and try to grow grass.
So where
in it.
you've, where the, I observed the trees have been limbed?
Yes.
Yeah.
But there's a, towards the green, it doesn't really show every tree, I'm not sure, that picture there is kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Covering where there's some trees there,
Yeah,
and in between, there's like a fork, a reverse fork, we plan to put it in there, initially. If there's
Okay.
more, you know, hopefully that's all we need, take out of there. The rest of it would be used throughout the course, you know, flower beds, whatnot, you know.
okay. With the bathymetric survey, have you been able to roughly estimate the volume, the cubic yardage that would be removed?
Well, we want to max out, we're going to try to max out at 100 cubic yards.
Probably
So,
Okay.
1 million golf balls too.
yeah, right. That
It'll be
does
a
not-
screening process.
Yes, right,
Yeah,
that's
okay.
right. So-
But, yeah, so, and then you're just thinking about all the different places you could use a yard here, a yard there.
Right,
Yeah.
Okay,
but I'm pretty sure we're gonna use a lot of it in that area right there,
okay.
Yeah.
Cover up those tree roots.
the roots, yes.
No?
So with this work taking 3-4 weeks, do we have standard language about equipment and, you know,
Yeah, I mean, there's the typical language that, you know, the equipment not be stored within, you know, 100 feet of resource areas. Again, kind of going back to the previous, the golf course does have a kind of lay down stockpile yard. It's actually where we saw the ski tracks,
okay.
kind of that area. So they're, you know, so stockpiling of, you know, sands used for bedding of the main line, things like that. It's, not to speak for them, but I certainly think it's far enough outside of
Right.
kind of the commission's jurisdiction.
Lauren, did you have a question? No, okay. Any comments or questions from members of the audience? So Matt will draft, some special conditions, email them to you.
Great.
And so we'll continue to the February 11th meeting,
Okay,
okay?
very good.
Very good. Thank you.
Can I have a motion to continue the public hearing to February 11th?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we'll see you on the 11th.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to our next 7:05 PM agenda item, it's, it's
We're still here,
certificate of
right.
compliance request for
Oh,
an
that's right, we
LPA,
forgot about that. Hold on.
for the country club.
Sorry, yeah, that's the past dredging in '89.
Yeah,
How could I forget that?
Looking up, just checking anything indexed to the property, and outstanding order of conditions which never received a certificate of compliance. Originally issued in April 12th, 1989. It was outstanding, included is the engineer's letter documenting that seems to have been done and consistent with the plan. That was thankfully included in the notice of intent and that they included in the notice of intent. So we have a little bit more technical plan provided than
Right,
1989.
right.
Just also the date on the letter is off by a year.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh. Good. Thank you. But, yeah.
oh, yeah. January 20, 2025,
It's usually by March I get it right, so.
yeah.
So, okay, well, we can amend that.
We stamped it in as
Yeah.
26
Thank you.
days, so it's.
Okay.
And so again, kind of a letter from the country club about jurisdiction, and included, and as part of kind of the certificate of compliance was included the bathymetric survey prepared by Williams and Sprouse. So I
verify it.
Yeah, the 4 special conditions, one of them included that, any disturbed areas around the pond needed to be stabilized, and based upon a site visit at the beginning of January, it appeared to be stabilized, so, I would recommend that commission issue a certificate of compliance if there are no other questions.
So moved.
So can I have a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 3340374?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay.
Great. Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Okay, moving on to our next 7:05 PM agenda item. It's a request to work after December 1st for Billington, 87 Hillwood Street.
This request came to my attention as they're starting to kind of prepare for work this upcoming year. The commission may recall that this order of conditions authorized the construction of an addition to a single-family dwelling on Hildreth Street. Originally proposed on the plan of record was the removal of 1 tree and the limbing of a second. In terms of when the contractor to do, who's doing the work, visited the property, they observed that the tree to be limbed was likely going to ultimately die and be removed as they were excavating a significant portion of its roots. Pursuant to, I think, special condition 29, I administratively approved it as, again, was kind of proposed to be limbed, and ultimately, the contractor recommended it be removed. I did stipulate that another tree be planted in its place. When the tree company came to visit the property, they observed 2 dead ash trees directly adjacent to the driveway that they felt were a safety hazard and recommended they be removed. At that time, I administratively approved it pursuant to special condition 29, as they're presently dead. Certainly it observed they've been dead for some time, and also they required that standing butt log of 5 to 10 feet be left to allow for wildlife habitat in terms of cavities and nesting birds. And so they're starting and they're on the schedule to have the trees removed, and it's before one of the commissions, or directly after the commission's next meeting. But if there are any questions regarding the limited scope of this request.
It seems pretty clear.
So can I have a motion to approve work after December 1st and up through?
I would say the end of February in case,
Okay.
something, February 28th.
Sure. Through February 28th for the removal of the trees at 87 Hildreth Street.
So moved.
Second.
All's in favor? Aye. Okay. Moving on to our next 7:05 PM agenda item. It's a request to modify an RDA plan from Malbeuf, 56 Lakeshore Drive South. Good evening.
Good evening, Ralph Malba, 56 Lakeshore Drive South. I'm here to discuss a deviation from work originally approved under my RDA granted on October 29th, 2025 for replacement of a patio and retaining wall and installation of a new walkway and retaining wall. Nearing completion of that work in discussion to add some additional patio square footage, I was advised that an additional 3 by 8 foot retaining wall on the west side of the house was failing. That's highlighted in red there. To ensure permanent slope stabilization and safe egress to the rear of the property, we made a field decision to remove the failing retaining wall and replace with a retaining wall incorporating stairs. We believe this would provide a more controlled, non-eroding path down to the bank to the additional walkway compared to the original incline. Unfortunately, during this process, some roots of a red oak adjacent to the retaining wall were cut. I want to state clearly that it was never our intention to circumvent the Commission's authority or to jeopardize the health of the tree. This action was undertaken by well-intentioned workers who were unaware of the seriousness of their actions. Since that event on January 14th, we've ceased all work on the project. We've reinforced the erosion controls by installing some additional silt fencing. I also engaged Austin McClare, who is an ISA certified arborist with Iron Tree, to assess the health of the red oak and the integrity of the remaining root system. To summarize Iron Tree's assessment, the observed root cutting was at or below 10% of the total critical root zone, but is within 5 feet of the trunk of the tree. While currently this presents as a low-risk rating, the following mitigation actions will be instituted per their recommendation. 1, mulching roughly 2 to 4 inches over the root zone following completion of the construction. Provide supplemental watering during drought conditions, and no additional root cutting, and no significant tree pruning for the next 2 years. Iron Tree has completed a track report that is up on the screen. I have prepared an updated site plan showing the location of the new retaining wall with stairs and the additional patio pavers versus the approved site plan. With that, I respectfully ask for the board's approval to move forward with this amended RDA request. Questions?
I don't have any questions. Sounds pretty straightforward.
No, Jim?
Could you scroll down? I want to see the difference in the construction of one versus the other.
Oh, so this was.
That's prior, so it's the red was the retaining wall that was there, and there was stone
Yeah.
in front of it, and if you scroll down, the new is gonna be retaining wall that basically buttresses the base of that.
Okay.
So we'll use the retaining wall to reinforce the hill where that side of the tree roots were affected.
Is that the only difference between the two diagrams?
It's the wall, and then the purple will be additional
Will be
pavers.
patio instead of the stone.
Instead of the stone for where I'll be putting
With the new retaining wall, what's that gonna be made of?
It's gonna be made of the same material that is highlighted in the yellow. It
Okay.
basically is.
So it's the same material, it's the same type of retaining wall you're using elsewhere in the park?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And remind me, what's the distance from the water?
The water to the, good question.
So this is the 70.
To the
This is
corner.
50, so
Oh.
this is 75.
Yeah,
Okay.
So, I mean, the tree's right at,
And-
73.
and that's how the house was laid out, right there is 75.
Okay.
Right at the corner of the house, that's 75 feet from the lake.
Jim, do you have any questions?
Seems like you've done the right thing, start the work and. right.
Yeah. So Matt,
Yeah, no, again, having kind of what's the next,
What?
if the commission doesn't have any, further questions, again, kind of
yeah, is
taking them-
procedurally, what's the
Yeah, I
motion?
mean, to approve the modification, the request to modify the plan.
Okay,
And they're not looking to do any work.
Yeah, no, I think we got through the neck, I'll send you a note. when
Okay,
they're
just
taking
wanted to
them-
check.
going back up, but right now, it's
well,
the northern side, so once that freezes up, it tends to.
it's, if you're getting ready to start work again before.
Yeah, I'll
April-
reach out to them.
Yeah, just, but,
I won't
After
hesitate.
April would be good.
yeah. but
Yes,
just-
exactly.
Right, after April, assuming the snow's gone by then. But yeah, it just, in terms of if it's before April 1st, that just needs enough lead time, to get on our agenda
Yep.
to review what you're planning to do.
Yep.
Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the the modified plan?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to our next agenda item, it's a discussion of reconsideration of enforcement order fine for Surfside pools.
And the commission may recall at the commission's previous meeting, they wanted draft minutes to review regarding this discussion when it was originally voted to issue the enforcement order, including also.
Eric was looking for that, right?
Yes, yeah. And so, again, while the whole meeting minutes were not provided for review, I was able to review this section to provide for the commission. Again, also included the enforcement order, so there was kind of the direct language for what was ordered. Again, I'm in terms of kind of the instances, again, the fines were based upon violations regarding the pool deck, pool equipment being constructed within an area subject to jurisdiction, violating 2 general, 1 special condition, and 3 instances, and then additional 1 violation of a special condition. So in terms of, that was the rationale for it. In terms of, kind of where the pool contractor, again, attended the commission's last meeting, is proposing to resolve to correct the location of the pool equipment.
And the shed? Oh, no.
Well, I mean,
no, that's right.
The homeowner's relocating the shed, but he's really handling the pool equipment.
Okay, but not the pool or the pool deck.
Not the pool deck, or the fence. And so, in terms of, the commission, is the commission amenable to, reducing the, or waiving the,
How much was the fine?
it was for 3,000. Again, the pool contractor is, looking to make it right, so that's, is there some,
But it never will be right. The pool's still in the wrong
I
place.
can't hear you.
It never will be right. The pool was built in the wrong place, not according to the plan of record. I was confused at the first meeting when we issued the fine. I thought I understood it was the pool contractor that built it in the wrong location. Pretty clear. Last week, or not last week, last meeting, it was kind of described differently.
again, in terms of.
That worries me, that I don't want to find the wrong person.
Well, in terms of, but, in document, and that's been my, who is, right, who's actually responsible, and, what can be documented. In terms of, the pool contractor and the property owner, they said, the erosion controls were installed in the wrong location, and, that was the builder, and okay, but at that point, but the plan that I reviewed, the building permit plan that I reviewed was significantly deviated from. So there was, never a point where I, where I should have, where I would have raised the red flag of, hey, this is different from, I've raised for houses, where they've shown the house, it being a side load garage as opposed to a front load, so like, try to make sure that what the plan that has been reviewed is what ultimately gets constructed. And so, the property owner and, the builder of the house did not include specific, the specific language requiring, in the deed that says that, this property is subject to, has wetland resources in it and on it, and, maybe subject, any work, may be subject to review by the Conservation Commission under the Wetland Protection Act and local wetland bylaw. I can't say, I'd be surprised if a title attorney didn't come up with, here's the list of things that, affect this property, at the time of closing. I can't, I don't know what was provided or what was not provided, and so, in terms of, the
error picked up after it was built? After it was built? The error, when was it?
Right, the error was picked up after,
Inspection after?
when they sought a certificate of compliance.
Yeah, compliant, when they came here looking for one, we looked at it and
And
said,
then
this
that
isn't what we
was
approved.
different. Okay.
Right, and
Got built
so.
in the wrong
And
location.
wouldn't they have known that?
Well, again, there's, this wasn't communicated, it wasn't, the property owner is saying that it wasn't communicated to them by the builder. And the order of condition, the language in the order of condition it states that the order runs with the deed of the property. So once it gets conveyed from, the builder to, the property owner, well, it's the property owner's, and so in terms of,
And the person who lived in the house wasn't aware at all that it was happening when it was happening? I mean, didn't you know where?
again, that's, I can't,
If I saw something being built on the right when it should have been on the left, I would be saying, what are you doing?
well, and again, they, the reason why, the commission includes language in the order of condition for it to be included in deed, specifically in these instances where, properties are being transferred, is so there's at least a point, a potential point at, closing where.
That information has been provided.
Right, and whether you understand it and you comprehend it, that's not, but it's at least been provided. So, in terms of resolving this moving forward, again, I know the,
What did we find, 3,000?
3,000, again, it was $300 for 10 violations of,
Wow.
in terms of, and again, the pool contractor is looking to, resolve the pool equipment issue. If, and I,
So one of the other things that, in my feedback to Matt was, at one point, it talks about that there were, if you look at, on the upper page, the second to last paragraph mentions conditions 36 and 37. But we only, in the fine, we're only mentioning 37 and
I think the second 37 should have been 36.
okay.
That was a Scrivener's error that, again, we picked up.
And who wrote that?
Me.
Alice? Okay.
Well, but, I mean, in the description thing, it says that the deed wasn't updated with the special condition until November. The pool had already been built
Mhm.
and everything, so going with that, I mean, it's a massive mistake. I don't think waiving a fine is good. You're not gonna fix a problem. If it is the builder,
But no, at this point, the builder is completely out of it. We're dealing with a homeowner and a pool contractor.
well, but if the builder didn't give them the information, if the builder didn't actually give them the information, the builder is on the hook, they didn't build it. But if they didn't actually relay the information for the homeowner to know,
But how long does that, if this was 2 years later?
that builder is still in business. If they're gonna continue doing these types of things without any repercussion, that's an issue. So, if you want the builder should have given them that special condition from the get-go.
Or when and part of it though is earlier in this process, I think when we realized that the builder hadn't put the conditions in the deed, that was our opportunity at that point to find the builder because by neglecting to do that, he basically set up this situation.
The builders screwed up.
Yeah.
And the contractor put the pool in the wrong location and didn't follow the plans.
Yes, and the contractor not following the plan he used when he applied for the building permit, that's
He just didn't follow the plan.
what,
The plan of
he
record.
had the right plan when he applied for the
He didn't
building.
follow the plan of record.
He also didn't follow the plan he gave to the town when he applied for the building
He didn't-
permit.
He didn't follow the plan of record.
He should have
We don't care what happens when he gives it to the town building department. That's the building commissioner can worry about that. But if he's not following our plan of record, he built it in the wrong location. I
Right.
think we have two parties at fault. The builder with his processing of the instructions, I guess, in the deed, and the pool contractor putting the pool in the wrong location.
I mean, they should have known to come back.
You want to split the fine between the two of them?
That's what I was thinking, that we.
I don't, I would,
What do you suggest?
if we're going to be issuing be redistributing fines, let's, table this to the commission's next meeting, and have them here so that, we're not,
Not having.
Right,
right, we're not-
right.
it's, hey, this is what the commission is thinking, this is,
Okay.
That
That
that we
makes a lot
didn't,
of sense.
And part of it is because when this first bubbled up and we found that the condition hadn't been put in the deed, it's like, oh, that's a miss. But at that point, we weren't really thinking, okay, and how could this create problems? We didn't foresee that it was then going to lead into a larger, it was going to set the potential, it was going to kind of be part of the groundwork for a larger issue later. But yes, I think you're right. We should, if we're going to rethink how this fine is issued, we need to give the parties a chance to be here. And I think it also gives us an opportunity to correct the Scrivener's error.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, because it looked like, for me, it looked rather odd that we were fining twice for pool equipment, special condition 37. So
Yep.
we'll get that cleaned up. But yeah, so for the next meeting, I think that's
Yep, or a meeting they both
Oh,
can,
yes.
you know,
a meeting.
one of the upcoming meetings.
Okay, moving on to the discussion of the EBC Facilities Management Services scope of work.
The chair has provided me with questions that were included in the commission's last meeting packet. I have not been able to respond and, with respect to kind of clarifying some before finalizing it.
And with your initial review of my questions, do you think that we actually may be removing some of those items from
I think
school?
I think some may be able to be removed, again, in terms of just from the experience due to presently trying to figure out how to access the cameras which have been installed, you know, in terms of seeing what information is available as raised by the resident during open forum. Now I need to get a ladder and go climb a tree and, you know, pull the. Well, you know, this if we're going to have, you know, say cameras installed, you know, there may be a better way to have them operate than, you know, via batteries and up, you know, a ladder to remove the SD card. So I think there are some operational kind of improvements to the scope of work that have been raised that can be and will be included in the commission's next.
I would want to see the facilities management part, the cost for maintaining the property, paid for by the income that we receive from the property. That was an important point. That was
Right, I mean, we can certainly, I mean.
That was in the town's master plan for the property.
Right, I mean, but the town also, I mean, and because I've had some time to think about it, the town also, but, you know, we do have DPW staff go up and plow it. So, you know, there wasn't, the property, you know, was designed to be maintained solely based off of the funds and reserve receipts. But also, you know, we asked DPW to go up and, you know, go plow it for us so we can access it. That's not, you know, that's labor, that's operational costs that are, you know, the DPW undertakes as part of, you know, their general mission for the town of Westford. That isn't in alignment with the master plan. Again.
The master plan is way.
Well, right, so, and, you know, in terms of, and so, you know, I would like, Jim, to your point, I would like that, it would be great if this contract could come back and be closer to the cost that the revenue with which we receive for the operation of the camps. I'm not sure if that's practicable or, you know, and again, we're not going to know that until we go out with an RFP and say, you know, the anticipated value of this contract is to be X. You know.
The last time we looked at that full complement of tasks, it was agreed that it was worth 58 grand, right?
Yep.
So if we cut out half, that'd be down to like 25.
Right, but then who's doing the work of
Oh,
you know, I mean,
we don't know yet.
right, I mean, so that's, if we're cutting out tasks of the scope of work, then it has to be, assumed somewhere else.
Some value of them.
Well, and,
Yeah.
but one of the things that struck me from looking at a lot of the items was it talked about, monitoring this. And there was nothing that put,
Nothing in place.
no, there was nothing that said, okay, you check this. Some of it was like ensure, it was very open-ended stuff, so that technically, the person could feel they had to do it every single day to comply with what was in the
Over the
scope.
course of multiple years, we didn't ever look at any of those reports.
No, I'm not talking about reports, I'm talking about stuff like monitoring all entrances of, that
We never-
entrances and exits of the building aren't blocked, and you're telling them they should be doing it daily. Some of this is, some of the things were so open-ended that, somebody's saying, okay, so I'm gonna have to have somebody doing this every day.
Right, so we have to rethink the whole thing.
Some of it is, like removing pine needles from the building roofs. You do that when you're opening up the camps in the spring, you do it at the end of the fall. You don't phrase it so that maybe somebody thinks they have to do it once a week. And so can you potentially refine some of those tasks so that it doesn't appear to be something that they have to plan on doing on an ongoing basis? Yeah. So
Okay.
hopefully, yes, we want to have it back before the commission at our next meeting,
Yes.
so we can get that out to the public, or get that published. Okay,
We received the commission received emails from a concerned, emails of concern, can't say from a resident, because they did not identify themselves, regarding de-icers and lake bubblers being utilized in Lake Nab. And they,
What are bubblers?
it's just like a water circulator, similar, if you have a fish tank, kind
Yeah.
of,
Oh, yeah, okay.
it
Bubble-
agitate.
bubble brings up water from below.
And why would somebody
It
be
keeps
doing
it from, so they don't have to
So it
take their
doesn't
boat out,
freeze.
they don't
Oh,
have to
so
take
it
their
doesn't
dock out.
freeze, okay,
Yeah.
that answers
Yeah,
my
it
question.
keeps it freezing from,
Okay.
keeps it from freezing around the dock and the boat.
Okay,
Right.
I didn't know that.
And,
Sorry.
and so they have, again, kind of Chapter 91 ish.
We don't do chapter.
Right, no, exactly, right. And I reached
I
out,
don't-
and I reached out,
mention it.
and I reached out to the state again to see if it was a Chapter 91 kind of potential, and they, based upon, again, kind of the information of, a commercially available kind of system, if it's suspended from the dock, that it's, bubbling and de-icing, it's not a Chapter 91, not subject to the jurisdiction of Chapter 91 in the DEP's Waterways Program. In terms of,
And I don't remember when I'm reading the Wetland Protection Act, I don't remember anything about de-icers.
or
This is
water,
whether
and
it
again,
affects
the interest,
the environment, that kind of thing, that's where it could possibly fall under this.
again, the resource areas, of,
It affects the resource area.
well, but the resource area is land under water body, it's not the water body itself. So, and so if it's not being suspended, it's not, again, we anticipate, when we review, docks being installed, again, on waterfront properties, there's an aerial impact for, say the pad with which, the dock is gonna sit on, whether it's, 4 square feet or 16 square feet, whatever. And again, that's permitted as a limit, those are typically permitted as limited projects as they're allowed, in so much as they do not prohibit the flow of water or completely obstruct light from vegetation. So again, I don't see there's actionable, while it, it potentially is a safety issue, again, due to, variable ice conditions. And again, in looking to New Hampshire, again, these are, regulated up there, and you do get you have to apply for a permit from the state. And
The reason a boat owner or a dock owner puts in the de-icer and bubbler is because of their docks and their boats. That's the main reason. And those are Chapter 91 items, not things that we worry about. I think we shouldn't even get involved in the de-icers. If the Wetland Protection Act gets specifically updated, or if the town's non-zoning wetland bylaw does, that we're gonna regulate bubblers or eliminate them or allow them or whatever, then so be it. But up until then, I think we could legitimately say it falls closer to Chapter 91 than it does to wetlands protection.
So, and New Hampshire has regulations for it because they implemented something at the state level,
yes.
but Massachusetts has not. And
Right.
I think, if Massachusetts decided they wanted to implement something, then it would be up to them. That's, does that fall under the Wetlands Protection Act? Does it fall under Chapter
But until
91?
then, it's not up to us to
Yeah,
rewrite the act.
you're right, one of the challenges here is you don't want it being dealt with one way in town A. Littleton deals with it one way, Westford deals with it a different way. It really needs to be something at the state level so that it's dealt with consistently. But yeah,
That
and
makes
it,
sense.
until we catch up with the new technology, there's nothing that we have jurisdiction to regulate.
Nothing that demands we do it,
Okay.
I mean,
I think.
I'll just be devil's advocate here.
Okay,
Just as the regulation, 10.56 through 10.60, I think gives us the regulation. Nothing that says de-icers aren't there, but it talks about the land underwater. But it also talks about wildlife habitat, which includes the banks, topography, food shelter, migratory and breeding areas, overwintering areas for mammals and reptiles, plant community. I'm just saying all of that put together, and the bubblers do change the wintering effects of a lake. So it could, but you'd need a scientist to come in and do the stuff. I mean,
Or
there
some-
are
or
no,
somewhere.
there is no
there's no body
regulatory
of knowledge,
stuff.
and there's
right
no body of research
Yeah.
that would,
You
that
need to
would.
bring all that stuff in there, but like, I think there is a way to do it, it's just it hasn't been done yet and all of that.
And I agree, I don't see you as being the devil's advocate. I see you as saying, this is what our legislators should be looking at. Or somebody should be studying it, bringing forward the research to get something done at the
There's
state
lots of
level.
things you could put under those categories of general impact to the environment of biology. You could, swimming in the lake. That's-
Totally messes it up.
It
It
scares
should be
the-
banned.
Scares the, exactly. So I don't think we're going down there either.
They have associations though, so you should talk about this inside their association.
When you say they,
You know, we-
The Lake Association, I'm more than happy to let the Lake Associations know that this has been raised to the commission.
Right, and perhaps
and-
we
and-
discussed
and-
at their
and you
meetings,
can-
because they could have at least conversations
Yeah.
with the
They
person
would be able to
instead
limit
of just
them.
reporting it to us. If we have no jurisdiction over it, if we have nothing to show that we can
I'd
help
want
them in any
the
way.
town to be much clearer in the non-zoning wetland bylaw, or the state in the Wetland Protection Act, either one. If they want to specifically call out this type of equipment, then maybe we'd be involved, maybe we wouldn't. But until then, I think it's even more involved likely to be with the licensing of Chapter 91.
it wouldn't fall under the harbor master?
I'm not raising up harbor, but that's Chapter 91. That's Chapter 91.
The harbor master, for which we.
Which we don't have a harbor master, but we have selectmen instead, select persons.
Select board.
Select
Yeah.
persons, people, whatever they are.
Yeah,
But it's not
But
us,
yeah, it's
it's not
just-
us, it's them.
I still think the association is the first place to start, because we have nothing on the books to help you.
yeah,
We
and
can't do anything here.
you're right, that,
So we refer you to the association who might
Could-
want to pursue
could
that.
do something.
We
if
could,
wanted
it would
to.
just, we would be the starting,
We'd be assuming a lot
Yeah, I
of
mean, we
responsibilities.
looked it up.
we'd be making,
We looked it up. nothing
We'd be
we
making
can
the
do.
precedent.
we'd be picking up an awful lot more
Yes, we would,
work.
and we need to justify our decisions ahead of time, how much does it impact? Is it
We don't
usable,
know.
measurable.
Well, you need the scientist, which
Yeah.
would be
Right,
chapter
And,
91.
But the
and at this
association
point,
can look into it at least the start.
I don't wanna get involved in this.
we have enough on our plate we're struggling to deal with.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
yeah.
The property owner of 2 HR Adams Way reached out recently regarding the town potentially acquiring a trail easement over the rear of their property within the former old road between the stone walls, as shown graphically on the annotated plan on the screen. Again, they were reluctant to hire an appraiser. I've also been reluctant to hire an appraiser. But with that also being said, if, having a appraiser, if the commission is amenable to, having it appraised and getting an actual valuation for its fee and use, for what a trail easement would, say, cost for its acquisition or what its appraised value is, we could then have a foundation from which to, negotiate with the property owner in terms of, here's what it is, not hypotheticals. It's $10 or $100.
So we would have a fact-based number to start the conversation.
Yes.
So they're wanting to sell that part.
Grant
to
an easement, yeah,
the-
to the town for public access to the Adams property from which
Are
was.
people using it currently?
Again,
They were.
they may be, but it's not, the property owner has put up kind of,
Oh, I see.
Blocked it off.
yeah, tried to block it off again.
We don't need this, and it's not even a convenient place for access. There's no place.
But
for
there's a
it.
trail
Well,
on
this
both sides of
continues
it.
down
There
to
is.
Main Street.
Both sides,
But
yeah.
there's not a good place to stop.
Well,
and
no,
park,
but a
whereas
lot
on
of-
Kersey Circle there is.
But a lot of, we have heard from members of the public who do use and have been using that particular way to get into the Adams rather than going through the neighborhood.
Right.
And here's an unrelated question. Why is was this an all development and so plot 1 is because those 3 were done? Because plot 1 is like way up.
Yeah, no, they carved off sections of a
Okay, so
larger
it's like
parcel.
all one developer that did those 3 and this
Yeah.
is the plan of that.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, actually, it was the Adams family carving off a couple of lots to retain for the family when they sold the rest to us.
I didn't know that Adams family lived in
So if the commission is amenable, I can certainly engage an appraiser to get a number.
I like it.
Okay, do you want a motion, or
Yes, please.
can I have a motion to engage appraiser to appraise the value of the easement in the area identified on the plan?
So,
Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Nay, okay. Okay,
On next, if I may, was an enforcement order issued back after the commission's December meeting. I failed to include it in the commission's meeting packet or failed to include it at the commission's next regularly scheduled meeting for ratification. Being 2 meetings subsequent, I would request the commission ratify it.
any questions? Can I have a motion to ratify the enforcement order for 43
I thought we were gonna read it for next, I thought we were gonna read it for next meeting. Is that what you just said? What I missed?
It was in the packet.
Oh,
No, so again, this was drafted, discussed with the property owner. This was 43 where we conducted I just didn't include it in last meeting's meeting packet for the commission to ratify.
So it's actually already been given to the homeowner.
Right, it's been I issued it, but it needs to then be ratified by the commission.
Can I have a motion to ratify the enforcement order that's been issued?
so moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
And then enforcement order was, I issued an enforcement order for Westford Wetland Bylaw number 031 at 122 Carlisle Road, based upon the discussion at the commission's last meeting. As this is the subsequent regularly scheduled meeting, I would request the commission ratify it, if there are no questions.
Are there any questions?
We already discussed this, right?
Right, this was discussed with again, it's one of
From
those.
the last meeting?
Yes, we discussed it with the property owner. It's, you know, a means to close out the outstanding stuff for.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
motion.
75-foot buffer, yeah, okay.
So can I have a motion to can I have a motion to ratify the enforcement order for 122 Carlisle Road?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I think his name has come up all 24 years that I've been sitting here. The next one, still around.
And I've not received, although I should probably, in terms of observing to see how snow storage is being conducted, now probably would be a great time to go look. I may do a site visit. But no, none of the requested information has been provided with respect to this outstanding order of conditions. Again, included in the enforcement monitoring, I've added 122 Carlisle Road to those previously on there. In terms of discussion and action items, 27 Tenney Road, we met with the property owner at the commission's last meeting. He was unable to attend tonight's meeting, so that's being tabled to a subsequent meeting for which, you know, they're able to attend to discuss a drafted enforcement order. I do not have any updates on 20 or 35 Keys Road, nor do I have updates regarding encroachments at Lakeside Meadows and vegetation dumping in the open space parcels. The MOU for the use by a commercial entity of the Emmett and
Can't hear you anymore.
the Emmett and the Neshoba Brook Conservation Area. I do not have an update on that at this time. I don't have any update on the Stony Brook Conservation Area items listed, nor,
Do we have has the PO been issued?
no, I don't think, the PO has not been requested. I need to
So we're
process
still
that.
at that point?
Yep.
Okay.
Edwards Woods, I do not have
The
update.
the signage for East Boston Camps is done, EBC signage. is-
Yeah, no, yeah, I think we copied this from a previous,
That can come off.
yeah.
Now, the last vestige of the wrong information on signs is the wrong information still exists on the rules and regulations. Our rules and regulation document, 2 or 3 pages of regulations for what they can and can't do on the properties. We include the wrong reference to the
Great.
Mass General law.
So that's in, now is that on our website or is,
It's on our website, it's
Yeah,
on
it's
the kiosk,
document, yeah.
okay, so the kiosk
The-
still needs
the-
to be.
and it's on our website. So
Okay.
I would get, I think it's,
It'll take us reviewing the rules and regs in one of these meetings,
Yep.
make the corrections, and then voting it.
Okay,
And then we can change the ones at all the
in the
kiosks.
kiosk, yep.
okay.
So we should put in rules and reg error.
Yep. Updating the rules and regs.
So
That's a light lift, I can get that done. The Edwards Woods, I do not have an update on those. Again, Freedom Park, we've had submitted the CPC application and we are in process, waiting for final recommendations to proceed.
Marilyn?
I just wanted to say, we've had a remarkable number of applications this year, with 17. I'm sitting on the board 24 years, we never had that many. So it's going to take us 3 times to go through the 17 different applications that we have, and then we'll take votes. So just be aware of that.
Yep, I'll keep,
The next meeting is like February 4th. I mean, it'll be quick. It's like once a week.
included in the commission's meeting packet were drafted minutes from October 29th and November 12th.
It was no December 10th.
No, December 10th.
Okay, it's on here.
Yeah,
As long as I'm not.
I was optimistic.
Okay.
So have people reviewed the minutes for October 29th?
I think they're well written.
I did have one editorial correction, on page 4, under request to replace the stairs and the retaining wall. The second line down, the word "and" is missing between plan and photos.
What minutes were those?
October 29th.
The language should read the sketch, plan, and photos provided in the meeting packet. Plan photos is not a compound word. Well, it is if you make it, but.
Eagle eye.
Margaret's being a programmer. The computer does what you tell it to do. Okay,
I move we approve it as amended.
may I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, have people had a chance to review the November 12th minutes?
Yes, no issues.
I did have one on, I had on the bottom of page 5, or middle of page 5, where it talks about, again, the request to replace stairs and a retaining wall. When it talked about, Wheeler said she would like the plan to be more detailed. The wording I gave Matt to add after the word including is approximate heights of walls, distance between walls, and the approximate dimensions of the infiltration basin. You know, just, they gave us a nice sketch plan, and it's missing a lot of the numbers, you know, how high are the walls? What's this distance between these two objects on the plan? What's the rough, approximate dimensions of the basin? It's just, you know, we're not asking for an engineered plan, but if they figured out what those numbers, the approximate dimensions, we'd want to see those on the plan. So,
Sounds good.
yeah, and it's just because this becomes the public record of that discussion, I wanted to make sure that all the things I asked for were included. So if nobody has a problem with that. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes for November 12th, 2025 as amended?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay. We recorded our site visit. We've got no more site visits. Well, we have the Kimball's, the 400 Littleton Road to reschedule.
Yes, and I'm not sure how soon that's going to be. We can kind of keep, maybe try to schedule that after the commission's next meeting.
Right.
Yeah, give it a
We'll
couple.
see the ground rules. Right?
Well, and also because I think part of what they're going to show us is with those outstanding orders of conditions, there's places where they still need to do work, or there's things they want to show us, which is what they still have to do that's holding them back from requesting a certificate of compliance. And it's like, okay. So, yeah, but we need to see the ground for all of our questions. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.